Hey BookTube, this is the animal tag. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and this is the animal tag. I have not done a tag in forever. I don't even remember the last time I did a tag, but Liz over at the Dancing Lizard tagged me for this. She is back and I love her. I love what she has to say about the books that she reads. She introduced me to Alice Hoffman and I will be forever grateful because I love Alice Hoffman. Broad range of stuff that she reads, and such a pleasure to hear her just talk about the books that she loves. Some people you just like listening to them talk about stuff, and she's always really good to listen to. So go check her out, and all the links are below. The link for the original person who made up the tag is below. I'm not sure who that is, but anyway, all that information is in the usual spot. So, the animal tag. This is all animals that make you think of stuff that make you think of books. There were a couple recently. One was The City of Mirrors by Justin Cronin, which is the third book in his Passage trilogy. I didn't think I was going to like that book, but oh my goodness, what a book. What a completely amazing end to the series. It was narrated on audio by Scott Brick, and it was, I loved it. I loved it. I loved the first book. I hated the second book, and I didn't think I was going to like the third book, but I really did. So the other one was On the Island. This is by Tracy Garvis Graves. I just got this in paperback, and I love this book so much. This is about two people who get stranded on a desert island, and it is so well written. That's probably all I can tell you. That is the best thing that I can tell you, is that it's really, really well written. I've read it a couple of times now. I keep rereading it because I love it. I love these characters, and I love what happens to them and the way that they cope and the stuff. I just love the book. So if you haven't picked this up, you should. I think it would be safe to say that Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson intimidated the heck out of me. Man, it's, for one thing, it's a massive book. And for another thing, it's sci-fi, and it's detailed sci-fi, and he is like the master of, here, let me tell you about this thing, but in order to do that, I've got to tell you about how you do this one thing and how that gets made and how that gets incorporated into this, and now I can tell you all about this thing. Oh my gosh, detail, detail, detail. It's narrated on audio by Mary Robinette Kowal and Will Dameron, and it is fantastic. It's an amazing book. Just science fiction at its best. It was really daunting, but really good. And a lot of hours of listening time. I forget how many. I want to say something like, I don't know, like 35 or 40 hours. So, you know, speed it up, but definitely worth it. That would be By the Shores of Silver Lake by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Mrs. Johnson read this to my second grade class when I was in second grade, and I fell in love with this world, with this author, with everything. So yeah, I don't know if I would enjoy it now as an adult, but as a second grader, it just captured me. T-Rexes always, every cartoon with them in their little arms, it cracks me up. You know, for this one, I did not have an answer. There were just too many books that came to mind. I thought every 4-star book that I've ever rated is a book that is very strong in some areas and weak in others. I really couldn't pin it down, and so, you know, if you want to know the books that I've rated 4 stars, go to my Goodreads account and look at that, and yeah, go to Goodreads.
Nope. 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 Nope.
For me, this is more like a genre than an actual book. Although one book did come to mind. It was a book that I formerly owned, and actually Liz and I traded books, and I sent this book to her. It was called Forbidden by Tabitha Zuma, and that is a book about incest, and I just couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. It was just something about it just made me go, I don't think I can go there. Yeah, some books you just feel like that about. And horror. I hate horror. I don't know. I don't like to be scared. I do not see the appeal of scary movies or scary books or anything that's going to cause adrenaline to shoot through my system and make me tense up and, you know, ugh, I hate that feeling. Ugh. So no. Well, I think that the people who do this tag, who read YA, are all going to say this, and that is probably The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. This is all fairy tale retellings. Cinder is Cinderella. Really cute take on Cinderella, though. Cinderella is an android who loses her old foot, running away from the ball instead of just her shoe. Scarlet is Red Riding Hood, and Cress is Rapunzel. The last book is Winter, and that is Snow White. So these are all a little bit campy, a little bit cheesy, but really lots of fun when it comes to fairy tale retellings. I really like them. But the book that I thought of that's not the book that everybody else is going to say that is their favorite retelling would be The Snow Child. This is by Eowyn Ivey, and it is a retelling of a modern fairy tale. It's a modern Russian fairy tale, which is The Snow Child. I don't think it says on the back here, but it's, or maybe The Snow Queen, something like that. I looked it up a long time ago when I reviewed this book, but this is an amazing book. It's so well written, and Deborah Monk narrates it on audio, and she is amazing because she captures the mood and the atmosphere of the book so expertly. Really, really good. It's about a couple who build a snowman, kind of a snow person. They dress it up like a little girl, and the next day it's gone, and there's a little girl running around in the woods that they get to know, and she is the Snow Child, and it's just the story of their relationship with her, and it's a wonderful story. I had trouble with this one because there are a lot of books that make me laugh in places, but they don't make me laugh overall. One book that I remember laughing my head off at was Third Degree. This is by Julie Cross. It's new adult romance about a girl who borders on Asperger's syndrome. She's only 19, and she is in like her second or third year of residency as a medical surgeon, as a doctor. And she is evaluated by some people who say that she needs to develop her people skills. So she goes back to college and just decides, oh, I'll just pick up a degree because she's the right age to go to college. And so she develops a romance, and it is hysterical because she's always getting herself into these situations where she is nervous, so she says completely the wrong thing, and it's just so funny. She knows she's doing it, so she's very self-aware. But oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Just so hilarious. The other one that came to mind was Retribution Falls by Chris Wooding. This book is so funny. This is the first book in the Tales of the Ketty J series, and it is narrated on audio by Rupert Degas. He is amazing, and the book is hilariously funny. It is very reminiscent of Firefly, which is a television show that is no longer on the air, tragically. It's a huge travesty that the series ever got canceled, but anyway, very, very funny book. So when I think of a fierce heroine, I think of one that is less insecure and more badass. And so I came up with a couple. One is Emma from Archetype. This is a story about a woman who doesn't quite know who she is, and as she discovers who she is, oh my goodness, she comes into her own, and she really becomes a very kick-ass character. And I really liked it. This is adult sci-fi, and the sequel, it's a duology, is called Prototype. And really good stuff. People don't talk about it very much, but it's a good series, and I really liked it. Another good YA main character who is fierce is Lynn from Not a Drop to Drink. This girl is something. She is taught by her mother, who is probably more badass than she is, that you just don't trust people. You shoot first and ask questions later. And the whole book has a very kind of morose tone to it. I didn't like the sequel as much, but I did like this one a lot. And on audio, I forget who it's narrated by. And especially if you're not a big romance fan, this doesn't really have any. It's a good book. And man, get out of her way. At least get out of her sights, because she will shoot you. I loved the main character in The Wrath and the Dawn, and then in the sequel, The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh. I would not read those books on audio. I did not care for the audio narrator at all, but they are so good in print. It's set in the desert, and it's got genies, and it's kind of a retelling of the Arabian Nights. And, well, there you go. It's another answer to that one of the other questions, but it was really good. And the main character in that is pretty badass. She's pretty fierce, so really liked her. You know, I'm not a big fan of cats. I gotta tell you. I know they're cuddly and sweet. My kids all have them, but no, I'm not a fan. And they make me sneeze, so I can't be around them. I'm going to go with Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. No, I hate this book. This book was not enjoyable to read. It is about dislikable characters who hate each other, and it's all full of, I mean, it's no story. It's just one sex scene strung by a little bit of dialogue into the next one. No, I hate this book. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Goodbye. I do love dogs. Well, I have a couple of friends who are authors. I am really blessed in that way. I'm really privileged to know a couple of authors personally. One is David Estes. I just love David. I mean, I am a part of his Goodreads group, and it's a really dynamic group with a lot of people, and I've met a lot of friends. So I'm really happy to know him. And I also know Riza Walker, who wrote the Chronos Files, and this is Timebound, Time's Echo, Time's Edge, and Time's Divide. Time's Echo is a little novella, and it's like really short. I didn't know it was going to be that little when I ordered it. There are a couple of other novellas that go with this, but they're not out in print. And this is all about time travel. It has a very strong historical element in it. So it is YA, but it's really intricate in terms of the plot, where it goes, how you have to keep track of what's happening and who's going where, because it's time travel. And so this just jumps all over a timeline. And it's really good. It has one of the most creative endings that I've read in a book like this that has a fair amount of romance going on. You've got your people that you really are rooting for to be together, and yet you feel really conflicted about that. And the way she resolves it is just genius. And I love Riza. I really enjoy talking with her. And Riza also has another book coming out soon. It is The Delphi Effect. It's due out in October. And it's about a girl who can communicate with ghosts. So anyway, I love her. She's a great author. And that is the animal tag. I will probably try and tag a few people, because why not? Might as well. Haven't heard any tags from pretty much anybody but Steve Donahue lately, who does one about every other day. But you know, I always enjoy watching him because I find out yet more things about what he reads and what he thinks of them. So anyway, that is it for now for me, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.